What's up, my friends? Dr. Bruce here with another installment of our 90-day sales breakthrough. And this week, I want to focus on how to get out of your own head. You know, so many different people, myself included, we get in our own way, we get in our own heads, and we let worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, all these different negative emotions live rent-free in our heads. I'm sure you appreciate that working in the real estate industry, right? So I want to help you pivot to focus on being more positive. I want to help you give tangible examples to overcome these negative worry, doubt, fears, and all those different kinds of areas to help you move the needle, whether that's personally and or professionally in your business. All right, my friends, let's break down how to get out of your own head, or really how to get out of your own way a lot of times, right? At the end of the day, we can be our worst enemy. We're our harshest critics. We're super hard on ourselves, okay? Myself included. And sometimes we have to give ourselves grace. Sometimes we have to pivot from a negative mindset into a positive mindset. And that's what I want to help you go through and break down today. You know, I was flying out to Las Vegas. That's where I'm at right now. That's the Cosmo behind me. And, you know, this weekend on Sunday, for instance, I started thinking about all the things that I have to get accomplished this week. And there's a concept called the Sunday Scaries. The Sunday Scaries is where you really start thinking about all the things that are coming up over the next week. And we worry about them. And maybe we have fear about them and we doubt them. And we replay that conversation over and over and over in our head without any real solution. Did you know that the majority of heart attacks in our country happen on Sunday afternoons into the evenings, right? Some people literally would rather die than go to work. I make that as kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke. And I have the Sunday Scaries every now and again, and I had them this past weekend, just looking at all the things that I have coming up this week. And I have to coach my own self a lot of times to pivot to the positive, right? And there's a great concept called the Happiness Project. It's a book by Gretchen Rubin. And inside of that book, she says that 50% of our happiness is predisposed. It's born into us. So what does that really mean? It's our upbringing. It's our genetics. It's scripted into us at an early age. And then 10% are the circumstances, right? Your marital status. It could be where you live. It could be any number of different kinds of things. So the environments and the circumstances with which you live from. And then the 40% then is actually you're in control of that. And so that's what I want to help you focus on today is how can you be in control of 40% to get out of your own head, to get out of your own way. You know, running and managing a business can be and is very stressful at times, or it can be, right? And I coach people that are solopreneurs where it falls solely on you every single day to go out there and your sales, your service, your marketing, and all of this is a mindset. And there's a term in the psychology or the behavioral sciences world, you know, having a PhD in human performance, I love to geek out on this stuff. It's negativity bias. And negativity bias is if a negative thought and a positive thought have the equal amount of, you know, attention, we typically gravitate towards the negative, unfortunately. So that's that negativity bias. A lot of us would rather, you know, turn on the news and see the drama. You know, there's always something going on. Like that's how these news channels, these outlets, these clickbaits, they make all their money is because they know how emotional we are as human beings. So I want to help you check your baggage at the door. I want to help you pivot to the positive. I want to help you overcome these negative thoughts and emotions that so many of us go through. Okay. So what does it mean to be in your own head? To me, being in your own head means you rerun the same past conversations or the same past circumstances in your head again and again and again. Oh, I had this call and this person said this, and this is what I said, but maybe I should have said this in this way. Right. And so that to me is like being in your own head. You know, you're constantly thinking about like, I could have done that better. It's like, it's the past, it's finite, it's fixed. Now, listen, I am all about learning from the past and getting better and being more self-aware. But if you're not going to come up with the solution and actually take action on that solution, then that's when you're living in your own head and you're letting these negative feelings, thoughts, emotions live rent-free inside of your own head versus letting positive thoughts live rent-free. That's what we want to have happen for you. Okay. Now, when I was studying this topic of getting out of your own head, I love to, you know, digest and read articles and scientific articles. There is a word that kept being brought up. It's called rumination. Rumination just means you revisit it, you revisit it, you revisit it with no solution in mind. Okay. So we have all these different, we ruminate on self-defeating thoughts. We're not good enough. We compare ourselves up to other people. Like these are all things that I believe are emotional cancers, or they can be. All right. So when you compare up to others, you typically compare up to somebody who's been doing it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years longer than you. Okay. I'm all about comparing up and learning from others. I wrote a book when I was 25 called Nextpert, where you're the next expert. Okay. But when you're comparing up and it's causing you to be paralyzed and have imposter syndrome, then that's not a good thing. Right. And so remember, I go through these same emotions. I'm still a younger, newer coach. I'm 5 years into my business. I'm not yet where I want to be, but thank goodness I'm not where I once was. But when I study some of these top, the Tom Ferries of the world, the Brian Buffinis, insert whichever coach who has been doing it for 20, 30 years longer than me, Larry Kendall, right? It's easy for me to have imposter syndrome. And so again, like I can get in my own head where I'm never going to be as good as that person, or, that person's only a real estate coach or only a mortgage coach. At the end of the day, I'm a business coach. I'm an entrepreneur coach. I'm a solopreneur coach. And so I have to re-tap back into what does make me different and special. So a lot of times I love going back through and reading my own bio to get out of my own head, to overcome imposter syndrome. Okay. So these are just some different things that I want to help you kind of go through. All right. Now, there are 3 steps that I learned, that I kind of wrote down, that I'm going to implement, and I already was implementing, to get out of my own head. Number 1 is you have to have a trusted board of advisors that you can lean on. A board of advisors are your biggest advocates. They could be your best friends. They could be your business partners. They could be, your referral partners. They could be your connectors, like vendors and stuff like that. Whatever word that you want to use. But I want to have a top 25 advocates that they have my back and I have their back. And anytime I feel like I'm getting in my own head or getting in my own way, I can pick up the phone and call them, and they're going to make time to talk to me. Okay. The second part of this, then, maybe the most important, guys, quite frankly, guys and girls, is to take action. Okay. So go out there and actually take action. So whenever you're in your own head, like at the end of the day, I always ask myself, what's the highest use of my time right now to generate more business, or to generate new business? That could be calling on new clients. That could be calling on my potential clients. I'll be calling on my past clients. Again, so I want to take some type of action. So for me right now, like this podcast, for instance, I check into the hotel and I have about an hour and a half of downtime. I'm like, well, what's the highest use of my time right now to go out there and maybe generate more business? So I like to do a weekly podcast. So I just sit down right now. I fire up the laptop. I have kind of a cool view behind me, right? And so that's the highest use of my time right now, is to spend 10 to 15 minutes with you unpacking how to get out of my own head. Okay. Now the third part, again, this gets into like what we already talked about, but pivoting from a negative into a positive posture. Okay. So instead of worrying about the negative, the doubt, the fears, all the different things that could go wrong, focus on the positives, focus on the gratitudes, focus on the affirmations. And so I love using one-liners. Okay. So my one-liners that I like to write down every single day in my planner, as far as my affirmations, is, I already said one earlier, I'm not yet where I want to be, but thank goodness I'm not where I once was. Some other things that I like to write down, it's not a matter of if I'm going to be successful. It's a matter of when I'm going to be successful. I'm just as good, if not better, than anybody else out there that is at the current place in my career. I like to think of myself, I'm still a little baby star, right? Like I'm the opening act to Garth Brooks and Eric Church and Jason Aldean. As you can tell, I love country music. Okay. Living in Nashville for almost a decade of my life. So I'm still a little baby star, but I have aspirations to be that big star. So that's where I just wake up every single day and I continue to work the system. I stay consistent and disciplined to the plan. As Rev Run used to say, do your best, forget the rest. And so as long as I'm taking action, as long as I'm doing things that are high value activities, as long as I'm staying focused on the end goal, and I just wake up every single day, because at the end of the day, we're going to get hit in all these different directions. And we have to move in the opposite direction of the world's negative pull that is going to face us. That negative pull could be your own thoughts, your own emotions. It could be external things that are happening around you. It could be with your family and your friends. It could be with the market, right? There's a lot of different things that we have to overcome when it comes to these types of things. So I hope this message helps you. Okay. I hope this message helps you. The last thing I will tell you to get out of your own head is stop worrying so much about what other people think about you, right? I have questions all the time about, sending out a weekly or monthly newsletter and how much is too much and what happens if people unsubscribe. What happens if I pick up the phone and I call somebody, for the third time this week and they don't answer? Am I being a nuisance, right? Like, these are things that I'm talking about, tangible things that we get in our own heads about. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We do all have emotions. And I can almost promise you and guarantee other people are not that consumed about you. And as long as you're coming at it from a place of abundance and you're coming at a place of gratitude and helping other people, then stop worrying about what other people, if they're going to hang up the phone on you or if they're going to unsubscribe to your newsletter, right? If you try to make everybody happy, you're guaranteed to be unhappy yourself. So let's help you pivot to the positive, get out of your own head by, number one, having a board of advisors that you can trust and call on at any time. Number two is take action. At the end of the day, there is great power in taking action. And of course, number three, stay focused on the positive. Have a mindfulness, be self-aware, practice gratitude and affirmations. I know none of that is new, but it's worth repeating. Unfortunately, in all of our lives, common sense isn't always common practice. Have a great week.